For the display button, what we want to use is something we learned in our at-home lessons last week, and that was the for loop. We need a for loop. So we're going to go to the control drawer, and we're going to get a for each number. Items in a list are numbered in what is called an index. And so each time you add something to the list, it starts at 1 and then it goes up from there, and each new entry takes the next number in the list. So we are going to actually change this term number here to index. Now we have an index loop for a list. And in this case, each time, for every time we want it to display what's in there, we want it to count the number of items in the list and display each one of those items. So right now we have this set up to go from 1 to 5 by ones. That means when it's by 1, it's going to count each item in the list. The problem is we don't know how many items are in the list. What do we set this number to? We really can't, because it's going to change each time a user enters something into the list. So we're going to pull out this 5 and get rid of it, and we are going to ask it to count the number of items in the list. Or if we go to our list drawer, length of list. We want you to count from 1 to the length of the list. Now we have an empty puzzle piece here because it's asking which list. Well, we've got a name list, an ice cream list, and a display list. We want it to count the items that are being entered in, which would either be the name list or the ice cream list. The name goes in first. I'm just going to grab a name list block. So from the name list, go from 1 to as long as that name list is. Now, what do we want it to do? Well, we want it to take these list items and we want it to put it in our display list. So we want to add items to a list. Which list do we want to add items to? Our display list. Now, what are the item or items that we want to add? Well, this is where we're going to get one of those join blocks, because we're going to have to join a couple of different things here. So our join text block, and I actually want to make a third space here. So I'm going to click the puzzle piece and I'm going to move another string item in, and now I have a spot for 3 other blocks here. What I want to do is take items from the name list and I want to combine them with items from the ice cream list. And then I want something to separate them so they don't just appear together. And so what I'm going to do to separate is just grab one of my text blocks, and I could put like a colon here, or I could put some words. I'm just going to put a space, a dash, and a space. Leave that there. Now, what I want to do is I want to tell it to grab the item and then the next item, and then the next item, and then the next item, so on and so forth. So I want it to select items from a list. So I'm going to go grab that, and I'm going to ask it to select list item. And I'm going to select from 2 lists, so I'm going to want another one of these. Well, I want it to select from the name list, so I mouse over and grab one of those. And I want it to select from the ice cream list, mouse over, get one of those. Now, what is it that I want it to select? I want it to select each item, and so I want it to just go looping through the index. So this is in a loop for each item of the name list. Get these things and display it. Get its index. Okay, is it the second loop? This would be the second index. Is it the third loop? This will be the third index. So it's going to grab all of those items on the list with this code. The final thing I need to do is just tell it to display. I'm going to set the text, just like we did over here to the blank spaces. I'm going to set the text to whatever is in the list. I'm going to go and grab my list view, and I'm going to set its elements, all of the things that are in it. I'm going to set it to the global display list. It's going to do this cycle and then it's going to display it. That is the code for the display button. That is what you're going to test when you get back to class.